Most reviews of the DJI Flip focus on autonomous flight and close-range vlogging. However, the new DJI model is also an interesting, affordable option for photography and videography. The Flip is the cheapest DJI line model offering the spectacular Hyperlapse functionality. In this video I will show you how to make the most of it. Timelapses and hyperlapses are somewhere between photography and videography. They consist of a series of photos taken at a constant interval and then assembled as a video sequence. There is a difference between the two terms. In a timelapse, the point of view is static, in other words, the drone hovers during the shooting. It is used when the scene contains several elements in motion. In a hyperlapse, the aircraft moves, thus adding extra movement to the scene. Three important settings are the interval between shots, the length of the short movie, and the shutter speed. In the 4 hyperlapse modes I will analyze later in this video, we can select the interval and length by opening the small window in the lower part of the screen, and the shutter speed value in the exposure window. It is crucial to use manual exposure to control the shutter speed value and manual white balance to avoid shift of colors. The app automatically generates a short movie at the end of the shooting process. This movie can be used right out of the camera. For more advanced users, it is possible to save each photo as RAW or JPEG, to edit the image with a photo editor and then assemble them in a video editor. The SD card will contain 2 folders. The first includes the auto-generated short movies, and the other the RAW and JPEG files for each photo if this option was selected. For color grading, I use Luminar Neo, my favorite editing program. You will find a link in the description of this video. You can watch my video about Luminar Neo by clicking on the link on the screen. In most cases, I like to shoot 300 photos, as it makes it easy to compute the time needed according to the interval between shots. At an interval of 1 photo every 2 seconds, the camera will take 30 photos per minute. So the shooting time will be 10 minutes. At an interval of 3 seconds, it will take 15 minutes, at 4 seconds 20 minutes, and so on. With 300 photos, the length of the resulting hyperlapse will be about 12.5 seconds, when using a frame rate of 24 frames per second. This is a suitable length for most occasions. When shooting hyperlapses, keep an eye on the remaining battery life, so that you have enough time for a safe return to home. As you can see from these examples, the interval between shots affects the speed of the movement. Intervals of 2 or 3 seconds are good choices when the moving elements of the scene are people walking or vehicles. The Flip has an announced battery life of 31 minutes, slightly shorter than the 34 of the Mini 4 Pro. At an interval of 2 seconds we can produce longer clips with about 350 photos. But there is a caveat. At this interval, the slowest shutter speed available is 1/3 of a second, so we cannot set the ideal 1 second speed. It is a small compromise, but the result is still more than acceptable. With a 3-second interval we can take about 270 photos for a resulting short movie of just above 10 seconds. An interval of 4 seconds is more suitable when the movement is mostly in the clouds. In this case we have to reduce the number of images and the movie will be shorter. Shutter speed value is crucial for hyperlapses, as it controls the motion blur in the moving element within the scene. The correct amount of motion blur generates a smooth rendition of the elements in motion, similar to what we would see in real life. For drone time-lapses and hyperlapses, the ideal shutter speed value is between 1/5 of a second and 1 second. At higher shutter speed, the car movement gets jumpy, very different from what we see in real life. For such a long shutter speed value, a set of ND filter is needed. In the description, you will find a link to the one I use. We access the Hyperlapse functionality through the icon above the shutter. A vertical menu appears to the left with the 4 Hyperlapse modes: Free, Circle, Coarse Lock, and Waypoint. A small window appears in the lower part of the screen. We can open it by tapping on the arrow to the right. Here we can enter the interval between each shot, the length of the movie in seconds, and the maximum speed. Just above, we can check the resulting shooting time and the number of photos. This window applies to the first 3 modes, while Waypoint has a different interface. Before hitting the red shutter to start the shooting process, we should pay attention to the crucial shutter speed value in the exposure window at the bottom right of the screen. In free mode, it is possible to move the drone in any direction while shooting using the 2 sticks of the remote controller. I don't find this technique useful, as in most cases produces jumpy footage. I prefer using Waypoint mode for more flexibility and smoother results. I only use free mode for time lapses with the drone in a static position. In circle mode, the drone orbits around the target. After selecting this mode, we choose a target that will be the center of the rotation by drawing a box around it with a finger. We can then open the window to enter the usual values for interval, length, and speed. In this mode, we must also specify the direction of the rotation, clockwise or counterclockwise. After hitting the red shutter button, the aircraft will move for a few seconds in the chosen direction, computing its position before starting the photo shooting. In coarse lock mode, the camera orientation is disconnected from the flight direction. The settings are similar to the one we saw for circle mode, but this time there is a lock icon above the small window. We orient the drone toward the desired flight direction and tap on the lock icon. Then we choose a target by drawing a box around it for the camera direction. The camera will remain pointed at the target while flying diagonally. We can then set the interval, length, speed and exposure like in circle mode. If we do not lock the flight direction and simply choose a target, the aircraft will advance in its direction in a straight line. Waypoint is the king of hyperlapse modes, and the one I use most of the time. We can set up precise path by creating several points. For each point, the position of the drone, its elevation, and the camera orientation are stored in memory. The software will handle the smooth transition between points. At each point, it is possible to modify the speed of the flight. Even more importantly, each mission can be stored in memory and performed at different times of the day, in various light conditions, or in other seasons. In most cases, we only need a few points. Here I will show you a simple example made with only 2 points. After choosing Waypoint in the Hyperlapse menu, the small window on the screen prompts Set Waypoint. I want to start from a top-down view of the square of the little village. So I position the drone and the camera, open the small window, and tap on the empty icon on the left to set the first point. I then move backward, lowering the altitude and tilting the gimbal slightly upward to maintain the view of the center of the village. I then tap on the next icon to set the second and last point. I can now set the interval to 3 seconds and the movie length to 12. In Waypoint mode we cannot set the speed of the move, as it is determined by the distance traveled and the number of photos. The longer the distance, the faster the move. This is the result, a sort of reverse crane move, a classic shot in cinematography. I'm impressed by the quality of Hyperlapse mode in the Flip, very similar to the one of the Mini 4 Pro. The resulting short movie is very stable, although I was not shooting in strong winds. The only weak point is that the automatically generated movie is at a resolution of 1080p. However, still suitable for social media. More advanced users can post-process the individual raw files and create a 4K sequence. Click on this link to watch my video about photography with the Flip. And don't forget to hit the like button if you find this video interesting. Thank you.